Hey, I'm Ken.
I'm Andrew.
And I'm Dan. Oh, God, it feels so
and
weird.
we are Rewinders
It
Podcast.
just doesn't feel right.
I mean, we got it. It feels so weird.
I hate it.
And then I forgot to go right into it.
I want Joe back.
I almost got it. I almost had it. We let it breathe. Okay, one more try.
One more try.
Hey, I'm Ken.
I'm Andrew.
And I'm Dan.
And we are the Rewinders Podcast, rewinding movies that you didn't want to watch, so we did. And we're going to see if they hold up. And this week, we are forcibly opening Wally World to bring you National Lampoon's Vacation. Oh, man. And what a movie that was. Had you guys seen this movie before?
Oh, yes. This movie was very heavily rotated in our family. My parents love the National Lampoon movies. Vacation was heavily watched growing up, referenced continuously. Christmas Vacation more so than any of them, but the original Vacation still stands out strong. European Vacation I've seen maybe 2 times, 3 times. It's all right. It's got its moments. And then Vegas Vacation, we'll talk about that some other time.
I've never seen any of the National Lampoon's movies in their entirety, so it was weird spending an hour and a half with the Griswold.
Well, to be honest, this is the best movie too, other than Christmas Vacation, in my opinion.
Christmas Vacation is it's a fun ride. I have problems with these movies, which I'm sure we'll end up getting into. We've already kind of covered it with other movies, but anyways, yeah, I tried to make myself watch this movie back in the day, and I was in and out of it. Not necessarily my favorite movie. I forced myself to watch it back when I was forcing myself to watch movies that people said were great. Because I was doing that, I went into it with a bad attitude, and I don't believe I ever actually saw the end of this movie. I think I stopped watching it once they got to Wally World and it was closed. I was like, all right, well, that's enough of this movie, and turned it off.
Ooh, yeah, you missed some good stuff. After a large amount of mediocrity. Oh man, I'm gonna have a hard time with words today.
Right.
You missed John Candy. How could you do that to him?
I'm upset about that because John Candy was the sparkling, shiny bit of happiness in this movie. The last 5 minutes. I could have watched an entire buddy cop movie of John Candy and Clark Griswold going across the country, being kidnapped, and trying to deal with that. That would have been so much more entertaining. Not saying I wasn't entertained by this movie this time around, but...
There's gotta be a movie like that.
That does sound fun.
Chevy Chase and John Candy in a buddy cop movie? No, do not tell me that Hollywood failed us.
Well, we got Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd in some films together, but I don't believe we ever had Chevy Chase and John Candy in a movie together like this.
We had John Candy as a cop in Canadian Bacon.
Yup. And then we had Spies Like Us with Chevy Chase and Dan Aykroyd, but...
Was that before or after this movie?
There's Cops and Robertsons.
Oh, we don't talk about Cops and Robertsons.
But yeah, that's only Chevy Chase and a bunch of people. Oh, I guess you can count Diane Weist.
1985 was Spies Like Us.
Okay, because I got the feeling that there was a clever nod to something when Clark is flirting with the girl in the red car, and she says, "You're not in the CIA." Like, that felt like it was supposed to be a clever nod to something that he had just previously been in.
When was Fletch? But Fletch, he was a reporter.
I haven't seen that movie.
Fletch was also 85, but Fletch, he's a reporter. He's not like a cop or anything.
Does he have an actual gun in that movie? I believe he's posing with a gun.
He does not, actually.
Interesting.
I guess I looked into it. The only other film that's like highly referenced that has both Chevy Chase and John Candy is Nothing But Trouble. I don't know if you guys remember that movie at all. It's got Dan Aykroyd and who else? Demi Moore.
You know, the people that always show up in movies that Chevy Chase does?
Yeah.
That's super helpful, Rothy.
Well, it's that weird one.
Okay.
Doesn't help. Chevy Chase and Demi Moore. Chevy Chase and Demi Moore are like driving somewhere and they get pulled over by a cop out in the middle of nowhere, and they get brought back to this weird ass like town or like house or something like that, and it's run by like a very heavily prosthetic Dan Aykroyd and whoever else. It's just like,
so it's a gender bent misery.
It feels like a 1980s like gross out version of I would say Rocky Horror Picture Show, but with a slightly different plot. Like they're trapped, but they can't escape, and yada yada, all this other stuff. I don't even remember. I saw that movie once. I know that they're in it. That's all I know.
I don't think I've ever seen that.
I know the title of the movie exists. You could have told me it was a Clint Eastwood movie, and I'd believe you.
Oh yeah, it sounds like it could be, but no, it's a crazy deranged house full of. I'm gonna be pissed if I don't look it up.
That's fine. While you look it up, maybe I can take some time to summarize this movie. Like most National Lampoon's movies, Chevy Chase plays Clark Griswold, and he has big, high hopes. This time, he's taking them on vacation, a road trip across the United States from Chicago to L.A. to visit a Disney park knockoff called Wally World. On the way, hijinks ensues, and that's the entire movie.
Mm-hmm.
There's racism and misogyny, and an old lady dies, and a poor dog.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Stinky.
2 poor dogs, if you ask me. There's the one dog who was just having a great time biting everyone, but there was the second dog where Clark Griswold was falling asleep at the wheel, and he was driving through the neighborhood, and I swear that was an alive dog that they picked up by its neck.
This entire movie, growing up, that is the scene that made me belly laugh every single time it happened. I get what you're saying, Ken, because that was, I had to actually double take this time around. I'm like, is that a real dog?
Right, we just came off of Rambo and the rats, and I was like, oh no, that dog's moving its head, I think. And it could have been a very talented puppeteer.
Yeah, that certainly looked like a real dog. So, I have a question, because I have no experience with the National Lampoon's movies. Is Vacation not, like, the first movie? Are we watching these films out of order, like I thought we were with Rambo?
Vacation is the first in the Vacation franchise. So this is the very first Vacation movie.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there are other movies with the Griswolds?
I understand where you're coming from, Dan, though.
With the Griswolds, what you have is you have Vacation, then you have European Vacation, then you have Christmas Vacation, and then you have Vegas Vacation.
Okay.
And then you have the reboot Vacation that comes mid-20aughts.
Oh,
Okay.
Ed Helms plays, I guess, a grown-up Russ who decides to go take his family on a vacation, similar in the same vein as what Clark did. So I never saw that one. I saw funny things in the trailers, and, there's some good stuff, but I just never got around to seeing it. I have seen the other 4, but yes, we are starting with the first one this time around.
So there aren't any other movies with the Griswolds prior to Vacation. Like we're dropped into the whole family
the first one.
and their interactions. Okay.
Yes, we're dropped into their crazy world.
And they make references in this movie to movies that would have happened prior to this if they would have actually had made that movie prior.
Yeah, that's why I was confused, because they reference a bunch of other stuff around the same time.
Yeah, like we're supposed to know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting way to make it feel like it's a already living, breathing series, and you're joining a family at one point in their life.
What's the term I'm thinking of? Is it in media res?
That's a term. Let's say that is the term.
In the middle of a narrative. That's what it means.
Yeah,
okay.
There you go. And that's exactly what it is.
In medias res, yes. That's right. Okay.
Look at us talking film.
Look
like
at us
we know
using,
what we're talking
using
about.
film terms and stuff. I mean, this isn't film. That's technically a term for storytelling, but that's fine. It's fine. I got it. It's fine.
Right, well, they use it in film. They should be telling stories in film, or cinema. It is one of the tenets of the language of cinema, as I understand. It's wild that they let you take that in college.
We don't have Joe. He can't confirm it for us.
Yeah. We are at a disadvantage. I probably should have addressed the fact that Joe's not here this week. We have lost him. We will find him eventually, but this week he's gone walkabout on his own vacation, maybe. I don't entirely know. We'll find him for another episode, possibly next week, or 2 weeks from now.
2 weeks from now? I don't know if I'd be able to do it. I don't know if I'd be able to edit this fast enough.
I forgot that we were recording this week, so I finished the movie 10 minutes before I pushed record here.
Hey, at least you didn't pull a me and be watching it as we're recording. I haven't done that more than once or twice or 4 or 5 times.
We should have listeners so they can put together quizzes for us for past episodes we did to remind us of weird stuff that happened in the podcast.
I would fail so hard.
Man, they could have a quiz being like, hey, which movie did you watch of this list? And I would be lost still. But we're not talking about those movies. We're talking about this movies.
Talking about this movie, this John Hughes, Harold Ramis vehicle with Chevy Chase and everyone else.
Yeah, and I think it's maybe time we get into stuff that we like about this movie.
Well, I mean, for all of the, not for all, for the last few episodes, we've had some kind of heavy films. This was not a heavy film. It was rather entertaining. I didn't just finish the film and want, like, the hour and a half of my time back.
Yeah.
So that's good, right?
That's a good start.
Yeah.
It's a Harold Ramis movie, which makes me happy.
It really feels like it.
I mean, I feel like we're on a Harold Ramis kick right now.
I mean, you guys watched Caddyshack, and then prior to that, what else? Oh, did you guys do Stripes?
Yeah, we did Stripes. You weren't there for that one, though.
No, I was not. Or Caddyshack.
Yeah.
Did I miss 2 Harold Ramis movies? That makes me sad.
We possibly could have used a different viewpoint on Caddyshack. We were all very negative about it, but there were certain things going on in the world that made us very negative about it. Also, it was a bad movie.
Yeah, that was a bad week. It was a bad week, but yeah, this is probably my favorite Harold Ramis movie. I don't know between this and Groundhog Day which one I'd probably choose, but I really love this movie. It has a lot of sentimental value for me. Groundhog Day is just one of those movies I can put on whenever and just have it in the background. It makes me happy. But yeah, I love this movie. The quotability of this movie is endless. There's tons of quotes, tons of great moments.
Yeah, lots of just real fun, I guess one-liners they would be. Like when Clark's gone insane and is like, nope, just going to get some sporting goods. Very funny.
Yep. We're gonna have so much fucking fun that we're gonna need plastic surgery to wipe the smiles off our faces. Like that's just as good of a line as when he freaks out in Christmas Vacation, does his whole montage or does his whole monologue and then screams the holy shit, where's the Tylenol or whatever. But when Clark goes crazy when he snaps, that's amazing. I always love that. We got Eugene Levy in this movie too. That's awesome. He was the smarmy salesman in the beginning, screwed him over on the car.
Yeah, have you ever had a bad car experience like that? Because I actually kind of had vicariously. My aunt went to go buy a car, and they took her car and would not return it when they sold her a lemon of a car.
Can't say I've been through that. That sucks.
I've only ever bought one car, and I've been looking at getting a replacement for the car that I currently have, so I'm not looking forward to getting raked over the coals.
Yeah, well, luckily we have the internet nowadays to be able to be like, hey, these people are pieces of shit, and allow us to keep businesses honest, if you will. Yeah, there would have been a lot of problems in this movie that would have been solved had they had modern day technology such as a cell phone to tell them where to drive. Speaking of which, oh my god, that intro with the car on the TV and the early Google Maps, that was incredible.
And the crossover from the video games. Yes.
My mind was blown that they put the two systems together without any networking, and they had the video games interact with the Google Maps. Or whatever program that is. It is. And
it's such a good sequence. I love it. It's so funny.
That was very prescient of the movie to include future technology from a typewriter. God, that was so good.
I mean, that was just a Commodore 64 and an Atari 2800.
Shh. Actually, I was wondering which ones those were.
I think it was a 2800.
This is 1980, so probably.
I couldn't see it from the front, so
82? I don't remember. 83. This is an 83 movie. It came out before I was born. Yeah.
When did the 2600 come out?
Yeah.
Oh, that might have been a 2600. 2600 came out in 82. 2800 was 83. So I don't know. I'd have to go back and watch it.
But are you going to?
Because the 2600 had more wood paneling than the 2800.
Sure.
Oh well, it doesn't matter. I'm
fine.
derailing the entire conversation here.
I was just gonna say music. I love the music in this film, and I love that the theme song is written by Lindsey Buckingham, which makes me even happier.
Dancing Across the USA or Holiday Road?
Yes, Holiday Road. Lindsey Buckingham, from the lead singer / lead guitarist of Fleetwood Mac. So it's got that style to it. It's such a classy tune. I love it. Love it.
Holiday Road, after watching this movie, was the only thing that stuck with me for so long. It is an earworm for me. It just keeps getting stuck.
I always think of Holiday Road as being part of like a late 50s, early 60s like sock hop.
What?
Yeah, it's got It's got some feeling like that, like your early's Americana.
I could see that.
Yeah. And it feels like they're hearkening back to that, and they try with also falling into that with having Clark keep on using, what do you call them when you got a standard, like the cliche road trip words, like
road trip metaphors.
Somewhere. If everything were like home, there'd be no reason to leave. He's got all those different things about road trips where it's like, I have personally said this out loud to convince myself to go on a vacation that I didn't necessarily want to go on. And I've been on just terribly boring vacations, still managed to convince myself that I was having fun by using these sort of
metaphors.
Not metaphors, a truism or something like that. Like, not a truism, though, because that's...
Idioms?
Sure.
Remember when I said we need Joe?
Joe wouldn't know what he's talking about, what I'm talking about. I don't even know what I'm talking about.
Fair.
But yeah, all those catchphrases that you use to describe why you would go on a vacation. Every time you say one, it's like, oh no, I've said that. And that's part of why this movie works, is because there's a lot of things in this movie that you catch yourself having experienced in some form or another.
This movie feels like it's funny because it's true.
However, then it takes that it's true and
Yes.
bumps it up another level.
And that's
so
the whole staple of this film. It's
comedy.
you add the absurdity into it, and that's what makes it just like jump.
Yep.
10 feet higher than it would have, like the dog tied to the bumper, like
It probably ran for a mile.
my cousin Eddie and his entire family. I mean, there's a lot to love. There's a lot to love, but there's also a lot that's problematic just based off the fact that it is a National Lampoon movie.
Yep.
So we'll get into that later. Yeah, I mean, just the core concept of the fact that it's just a family road trip movie, which so many people can harken back to and remember what a family road trip is like. It's always like spun up to be this grandiose thing, but it always sucks when it really boils down to it.
Right.
You could spend so much more time doing what you want to do if you just flew.
It's very
versus being trapped in a car and miserable. But there's this whole stigma behind it where you're trying to pull back like this whole like Americana thing that you're talking about from like the 50s and 60s of get in a car, go with the family, experience the entire drive, everything you see along the way.
Right off the bat, one of those things I was trying to say, nothing worthwhile is easy. I actually wrote that one down. And he also says, flying's so impersonal. You go up in the air, you put on your headphones, and you're not doing anything. Like, yeah, but that's 2 hours. You're driving 2 weeks across country, and the first thing the kids do as soon as you get out of city limits is they put their headphones on. So you're already...
Yup.
See, the thing is, like, to get from... and I have experience with this. Getting from, say, southern Wisconsin to California takes 4 days.
That depends on who's driving.
That's the scenic route.
Oh, sure.
Unless you are, like, going way out of your way and not, like, trying to get to your destination. Right. And their destination was Wally World. So why were they stopping at all of these other things along the way?
Because they didn't want to visit Uncle Eddie. I feel like he added that.
Oh, God, it's so irritating.
He didn't want to visit Uncle Eddie, so he put the House of Mud in there because he'd much rather see Mud than Eddie.
Wouldn't you want to visit Uncle Eddie?
And honestly, yeah. Yeah. Things I don't like. Uncle Eddie.
Yeah.
That entire section of the movie brought the movie down. It was just,
Oh, but it's so you got to have some sort of messed up family in the movie. I mean, he's going across country.
Do you
see family.
When your family already is pretty messed up? Because you are the reason why your family is messed up?
It just adds to the embarrassment, though. You have to have Eddie in the film.
You didn't have to because this is the first movie in the series. After you introduce Eddie in the series, you kind of have to have him in subsequent movies.
But you
especially after Edna's not sending him back checks.
Yeah. Well, before we get down that round, other things. Did you guys notice the little dishwashing gag in the beginning?
Yes, actually, I didn't notice Katie was watching it with me. And she's just like, "They're not washing the dishes," and I'm like, "What?" She's like, "No, they're not washing the dishes. She's just scooping the shit off the plates, giving him to Chevy Chase, and Chevy's wiping them off and putting them in the goddamn
it made me uncomfortable.
Yup.
That's why."
He says that's his favorite bit in the movie, and almost nobody notices it. And it took me probably about, I don't know, my mid-20s until I realized it, and I laughed my ass off just watching him. He's not rinsing them. He's not doing anything with the water. He's just wiping them down, putting them away.
I'm sure there's plenty of really good bits like that in this movie that you just don't notice.
It's a good bit.
There was a store that had a open sign, but the sign said, I believe the sign says...
It says, "Sorry, we're open." Yeah.
Oh, nice.
It's the like the way station in the middle of the desert.
I just saw it. So like right above that, I got the. He takes off his watch because he's being overheated while he's walking through the desert. He starts taking all his clothes, including the watch. Like, man, he must be real hot if it's that watch.
Yep.
If that watch is gonna mess.
Yeah, when he took the watch off, I lost it. That was pretty good.
Yeah, there's a lot of really funny bits in this movie.
There's a lot of gags in here that, like, if you're not paying attention to them, you wouldn't catch it. And I think that's what makes the Lampoon's films good. Like I said, I haven't seen any of them in their entirety, but there's so many good gags, and I'm betting there's probably a bunch of running ones across the films.
Green station wagon for sure.
Well,
it's just kind of
for sure. That's definitely part of it.
A motif of the movie, I guess.
I don't know. For me, one of the standout scenes has always been when the dog pissed on the picnic basket. Watching Clark dancing and flirting with the girl in the Ferrari from a distance. And then just to hear that saying come from Beverly D'Angelo behind him and watching him just spitting out his sandwich all over the ground. I love the way he spits it out.
And Edna's still just smiling and eating it, even after it's been disclosed.
Yeah, she just shrugs.
That's why she
shrugs
died.
And this continues.
That's why she died.
She died from piss sandwiches?
Head trauma? That hit hard.
I completely thought it was head trauma from this viewing. I'm like, holy shit, I never realized how hard they took that hit.
Yeah, it broke, what's his name? Rusty's nose.
It broke her hat. It broke her straw hat.
And it gave Audrey her period. I don't know how that works, but internal bleeding, I guess.
That's right.
Yeah, it was a hard hit. Ah, man. It's nothing to be proud of.
I mean, it was like a good 50 yards. In a vehicle that big.
Yeah.
Feels like we've reached the end of things we liked of this film.
I mean, I have so many, it's just I could go on for ages, because I mean, practically the whole film's jokes land.
Yeah.
Sure.
That's true.
Shoebox of weed.
Shoebox of weed, yes, exactly.
How do you feel about the, Daddy says I'm best at it line?
Oh,
I laughed my ass off. Oh,
God, it's so uncomfortable.
See, I figured that'd be a really good transition to things we might not care about with this movie.
I always had fond memories, like some of the more quotable moments growing up and like all through my adulthood. One of my favorite scenes in that part is definitely where his daughter's mixing the Kool-Aid with her arm. I've always remembered that. I've always known that's coming up.
Can I help you
giggled.
with that Kool-Aid? Please, please let me help you.
The real tomato ketchup, but then hands down one of the most quotable things in this entire movie for me personally, and one of the things I always think back to fondly and laugh my ass off internally when I hear it is just, I don't know why they call this hamburger helper. It does just fine on its own.
I forgot that bit was in the movie, and I laughed quite a bit this time around because that was very good.
My mom absolutely hated Hamburger Helper, so I've never had it. It was never something that was in my family home, and I've always walked past it in the grocery store, be like, you know what, I should try this just so I know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I just never have. It's like buying cans of Spam.
You still haven't? Oh, wow.
We had that in Tuna Helper a lot as we were growing up, but all it is just the essentials that go with hamburgers. So you provide the meat, they provide the rest of the meal.
Oh,
so, yeah, it's
right.
noodles.
You provide the meat.
Oh,
they
God,
provide
that's
the
horrifying.
And
they made
spices.
burgers out of just the other things that are not burgers. Oh no!
Yeah, that's the joke. It's noodles and hamburger spices.
Ah,
yeah.
Oh, you guys, you cannot see the pain. It hurts.
And that's why it's even better
it makes
when he
me
says
happy. Things I like about this movie.
Exactly. When he says he likes it more than Tuna Helper, he's eating something that doesn't even have tuna, too. It's just noodles and cheese packets and shit.
Of which is, the cheese packets and Tuna Helper are not, it's not the best.
It's like Kraft macaroni is maybe like a bump upward a little bit in quality, but not too much. Yeah, it's like going to Velveeta.
Oh, God.
I don't know if it would grill well, though.
I mean, it looked like it did, if that's what they even grilled.
Right.
I want to know what she was packing it with. Like she was at the table, clearly, packing something in a bowl that looked like meat that was about to be cooked, but it wasn't meat. So what the hell is she packing the hamburger helper mix
ground
with?
chicken?
No. There's no meat in this.
Oh.
Griswold says there's no meat in this.
Oh.
As best we can tell, it's from the worm farm.
Oh no! I didn't. Oh, this is bad. Oh god.
Oh, I feel like we could have an entire segment
Oh,
basically picking
man.
apart Eddie's house, his family, and everything about his lifestyle. Just trying to figure out what it's all about.
But ultimately, it gets to the point of things that I don't like about this movie. And actually, the National Lampoon's movies in general is they focus so much on how much money he spends. It's always something with oh, now we got to figure out how to get money. Now we got to figure out how to get money. It's always him shelling out money. And that part doesn't resonate well with me. It makes me very uncomfortable. And I'm sure it makes a lot of people not want to go on vacation. And vacations are expensive. However, yeah.
Yeah, for me, National Lampoon's always seems to... National Lampoon movies, when you see them, they have a certain stigma behind them. They have a certain comedy style behind them. And they definitely set out to do something in terms of trying to push the envelope. Trying to be a little bit more grotesque than most movies would be allowed to, things like that. Just trying to pull from memory. You got Van Wilder, in which, he uses the Bulldogs. He uses his Bulldogs. I'm trying to think of a PG word for this, but he fills the eclairs with his Bulldogs essence and then gives them away to the other rivals. Yeah. I laughed really hard at that growing up, but, it's stuff like that.
It's sit down and think about it. It's actually really horrifying.
It is horrifying. Yeah. It's stuff like that in this. Specifically, Harold Ramis, he said that one of the most embarrassing things about the movie for him, because this is the only R-rated vacation movie out of all four.
So that explains all the swearing at the end. I'm just like, wow, that's really out of left field.
This was National Lampoon, in its heyday. This is them putting their full oomph behind this movie. Yeah, he said that honestly, in his entire career, honestly, the most politically incorrect sequence he's ever shot is the entire St. Louis shot, where they're going back through the...
through the ghetto?
Yeah, through the ghetto and trying to find directions. That scene embarrassed the living hell out of him, and it's... Honestly, he was worried about shooting this movie because it didn't fit with his style, the National Lampoon style of things, so... Yeah, I mean, it definitely... It goes in its own direction sometimes, that's for sure. And there's stuff in here that I don't think Harold Ramis would have chose to put in the movie, but again, he didn't write this movie entirely by himself. It was actually written by, I said it earlier, John Hughes, and that's why, if you'll know, it starts in Chicago, because all John Hughes movies do, so...
Yeah, right what you know, right?
Yep,
and then
exactly.
Veer off into St. Louis territory, I guess.
Yep, and racial stereotypes and jokes, haha.
Yep, things I don't like about this movie. Careful for the Indians, which I guess came back nicely at the end of the movie.
It did.
Or mid-movie, where the couple of indigenous peoples of America helped them get a tow truck.
They look at Clark and say, what an asshole. I love that.
That's fair.
Yep.
Because really, another thing I don't like about this movie, Clark is an asshole.
No, Clark is a terrible person. He's a terrible father. He's a terrible husband. Okay, let's change this.
Yes.
The longer you watch the film, the worse of a husband and father he is. At the beginning, he's your stereotypical, suburban dad.
Right. Overbearing, optimistic father who doesn't have a chance to hang out with his kids and doesn't want to lose out on the time with the kids. I can understand that, and I can... I get what he's going for. That's a thing that a lot of people across the world can associate with, they can identify with. Not wanting to lose that time of your child's lives. And then...
But then, he's not a bad father per se. He's not
abusive. He's just really self-centered.
He's self-centered, he's aloof. He has his own interests in mind constantly. He's willing to go way, way past the normal means of what anybody would ever put up just to fulfill what he wants to have done or his goals. Yeah, definitely that kind of guy.
And I think maybe in the 1980s, this is what they considered comedy.
Yeah.
It was like that one time when we watched that movie Stripes, and they showed the RV that was supposed to be the urban assault vehicle, and I said, oh, right, we're supposed to be watching a comedy. This is supposed to be funny. Maybe it just hit differently back then that was supposed to be funny. Being a terrible person who cheats on their wife is supposed to be a funny thing. There you have it. Sometimes things don't age well when you have a different, decade. Millennia? We're in a different millennia.
I mean, we're several decades into the future at this point.
Yeah, some might say we're almost 30 years into the future of this movie.
More like 40.
40. Yeah, 40. Because this movie's older than me. Woohoo!
I think this movie's older than everybody here, except, if we had Joe here, then we could make a joke, but
Yeah.
Joe would have been just a young whippersnapper, so...
Things I don't care about. I don't care about Eddie. I don't care about Edna. They're not fun characters. They're just a burden to the movie. Bring everyone down. Even the dog biting people, it's funny the first time, but then it just becomes a trope and kind of exhausting. And honestly, like, the National Lampoon movie, Caddyshack, like, there's just bad people, bad things happening all over the place, and instead of making me laugh, they exhaust me. I just get like, okay, fine, whatever. The first time I watched this movie, I just stopped watching and just like, okay, fine, okay. And when you say okay, fine so many times in a movie, it becomes just exhausting.
Stagnant.
And luckily this time around, I was able to pull out a lot of the fun jokes. I was able to latch onto those things. So I was able to keep myself in the movie and be able to keep comedy head about my shoulders. But certain movies, the jokes don't land as well. And so when you put in these dips in the movie, and I'm not talking about dumb people, although dumb people are dips, and they are in this movie. When you put in the emotional dips in the movie, they just hit so much harder because you don't have the jokes to kind of pull you out. So I have to be in the actual right frame of mind to watch these movies, and I have to pay attention to notice the subtle jokes as well as the overt jokes in order to be able to stay with these movies. And that's why I can't watch these movies passively.
Yeah, that's fair. I get it. Yeah. There's a lot of things in, well, like I said, a lot in these sorts of films that they were funny at one point, but we as a society have grown to find them to be, well, wrong.
Yeah. He made the black guy roll like a dog. That's a thing that happens in this very movie.
I mean, the black guy did try to defend himself to his boss, who obviously wasn't paying attention to him.
Yeah, the very, very obvious Walt Disney lookalike. They didn't have Disney's permission to use the name of Disney, I guess, but I mean, that's what they're going for.
I like Roy Wally. He's a nice guy.
Is he, though?
Yeah.
Is he too nice?
Maybe.
Like, he lets these people off after 2 weeks, and he, like... The biggest problem is, after he says, no, I'm not going to press charges, Clark says, I told you to trust me, to his family, not thank you for being so understanding. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'll get out of your hair now.
Yeah. No, that's a valid point.
His ego comes through right at the end of the movie, and it's so...
At the end of the movie? It's all over the place. It's probably one of the reasons why I don't like Chevy Chase, because all of his characters are exactly the same.
Man, I can get the comedy of him having a gun, taking John Candy on a bunch of rides and having a good time. Like, that was a lot of fun. That's completely ego-driven, but also very funny and a lot of fun. But the line of, I told you to trust me, after he, like, immediately after he says, I'm not going to press charges, just hit me in such a wrong way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you would never want to go on a vacation with Clark Griswold, is what you're saying.
I would not.
I'd rather fly.
Yeah, I would definitely rather fly.
So then did the movie do what it set out to do?
Make me not want to go cross country in a vehicle, in a wheeled vehicle? I mean, I guess I really still don't understand the what this movie was setting out to do, other than to make a farce of everything.
I think it was setting up to make a comedy.
Yeah.
It was trying to make a comedy, and instead it ruined my favorite pastime of driving around the country. You know who else likes driving around the country? Joe.
He does, and that's why I'd love to hear his take on this.
Damn it, Joe. How dare you be gone?
That's alright. That's fine. Do we have anything else to say about this movie?
I mean, for all the problems that we've had with this movie, it was entertaining.
Okay. Yeah, let's go back. I went on a rant. I did say that I was able to pull the comedy out. The movie was overall more entertaining than it was depressing, and I had a better time with this movie than I have in the past. And it was that's right, we're supposed to do, has this movie held up? And for me, I think the movie holds up in as much as I still enjoyed watching it. It doesn't hold up technology-wise. It's really fun to go back and watch old technology and see what new technology could do for your movies to fix a lot of things. What do you do with a dead body? What do you do in that situation? You drop it off at the hospital? Like, the hospitals are 24 hours a day, right?
I would assume.
You drop it off at the old police station?
I have such a hard time, personally, me thinking back to the days before cell phones, it is mind-boggling how we did things without having that kind of connection to information.
Yeah.
It's just, within the last few weeks, I've had this same thought. How did we do this when I was 10? How did my family do any of this stuff? Because we're so connected now.
Road trips, you had the almanac, not the almanac, the map book, the 50-state map book. And you'd learn how to read maps really well and figure out where you're at. And you'd have one person constantly being the map person, trying to figure out where you are, where you're going, and how many exits you had to go, how many miles down the road. And there's classes on how to read maps. It was wild.
But it's not just the traveling part. Like, if you were on vacation and grandma died, like, mid-road trip, what do you do?
I almost paused the movie, but I was already way too close to do that. There's certain points where I wanted to rewind, like, was that a real dog he just ripped off the ground? But I couldn't because it was already too... I waited too long to watch this movie. But I had that question while watching this movie. What do you do with the dead body? And I was going to Google it, and I said, I'll deal with it when it comes. I have a phone. This is not information I need right now.
That's what I'm getting at, like... 30 to 40 years ago. Well, yeah.
What would you do? I have no idea. I think you just go to a hospital and be like, can you save this person? I mean, they went to Flagstaff. Flagstaff has to have a hospital, right?
You'd think.
You'd hope. Yeah, no, these are very, very, very good questions. Like, what do you do? Also, beyond that, like, you're stuck out in the middle of nowhere and you lose your credit cards.
Yeah.
Having to wait for a check, or not being able to cash a check because you don't have a credit card that functions, things like that. Like cell phones, and just the interconnectivity being gone. It's just so crazy to go back to this.
Yes, and this was even before time machines.
Yeah.
You know, the early ATMs in Wisconsin. Take your money everywhere.
Very Midwestern brand. Time, T-Y-M-E.
It might be very Wisconsin. A very Wisconsin brand. But go ahead and look up time machines. They exist, T-Y-M-E. It was a booth, and you'd go in there and use an ATM.
So when I was back to the question at hand, does this movie hold up?
I would say yes. I don't know how much so in terms of the great American dream of going cross country in a vehicle, because I don't feel like that dream's alive anymore. I feel like the dream probably died sometime in the late 80s, 90s. I really don't think there's a lot of people clamoring with big wide eyes about going cross country in a vehicle with the kids anymore. I just don't think it's a thing.
No, because it sucks.
It does suck.
Like the society has changed so much from being patient. I wouldn't want to go on vacation and spend 80 to 90% of the vacation traveling. I'd rather get to the place that I'd wanted to be at vacation and just relax there. Which is a point that they try to make at the very beginning of the movie with why are we driving versus flying.
I personally enjoy a good road trip, honestly. I've been on several as an adult, and yeah, the in-between parts where you're just driving.
But did you go alone, or did you go with a bunch of people?
Usually 1 to 2 people.
So you weren't doing a group of people in a vehicle. It was you and...
Right, I didn't go with kids, which immediately makes it exponentially better. I didn't have Aunt Edna, so that made it a whole lot better.
They didn't have Aunt Edna till Eddie dropped her on them.
Right, and it really was a turning point into just how much fun they were having on that trip. I planned it out, and yeah, you go like, okay, I'm going to drive, and the driving parts are insane. But there's so many cool things to see just as you go along that. I drove down to Savannah. We stopped in Louisville, saw how they make bats, and then we stopped in Tennessee, got a bunch of whiskey, stopped at some Civil War sites on the way down, stopped at Lincoln's cabin in Illinois. You know, you make your stops and you check them out, and you're like, oh, cool, I saw that. Now, okay, that's something I did. And for some people, I could definitely see how that is just not worth it. Those are just stupid things to eat up time as you're going down. But also, it's part of the experience of going on a road trip, and it's fun in its own right if you are into that sort of thing of just doing the most random shit that you can do. However, I still wouldn't go to the world's largest mud house, because anytime you see the world's largest anything, it is so underwhelming.
What?
The world's largest ball of twine is really not that big.
The world's largest mud house isn't going to really be all that big. I mean, if you're going to go see the world's largest building, then cool. But that's going to be surrounded by a shit ton of other things.
The Burj Khalifa?
I guess
in Dubai?
I wouldn't be able to tell you what it is because I don't care. They put the world's largest building in the middle of a shit ton of people, and I don't want to be around those people. That's also why road trips work for me, is because it gets me away from the crowds.
Okay, that's fair.
But anyways, Andrew, movie hold up for you?
Yeah, I'd say so. From just a pure comedy standpoint, it definitely hits all the right punches.
Still enough in this movie to make it worth a view.
At least once, maybe twice.
So, is that all we got?
I can't think of anything else.
I fear so.
We all good? Or is that us tying a movie to the bumper of a car and dragging it across the highways to bring you this movie, National Lampoon's Vacation?
Oh man, that's one thing I forgot to mention. This movie makes me appreciate that we got away from luggage racks. Because what the hell? What a concept, right? Strap your crap to the roof of the car and let it get wet, let it fall off.
Yeah, super useful for kayaks, though, if you're into that sort of thing, which I also am a fan of kayaks.
Yeah. But not luggage. Just not luggage.
Nah, put that shit inside. And why are you putting all of your credit cards and identification inside a fucking vanity, which is going to be on the outside of your car? Why would you put that on the outside of your car and then drive through St. Louis?
It's part of the absurdity of the movie.
And that was us closing Florida to bring you this movie, National Lampoon's Vacation. If you could leave a comment, we love comments. We wish we would hear more from you people. If you are out there, please let us know. Have a good word. Or, let Google hear from you. Just take your phone out and yell at your phone. It'll be a good time. Everyone will not wonder what you're doing. Yeah, just say something nice about us about your phone. That'd be great.
You're here to tell us about the numbers of the people that are listening, and I'm betting there's a bunch of other people who do listen but haven't subscribed yet. Maybe do that. That'd be cool.
Yeah,
we'd be cool with the subscriptions. That helps us make this podcast bigger. I mean, right now we don't have sponsors. It's just us doing whatever we want. This is entirely just a labor of love for the four of us. So if you want us to do more, let us know.
But honestly, we just we enjoy doing this. Thanks for stopping by. We will see you again in 2 weeks when we watch Milo and Otis at the same time, and then we rewind again. That's how we do it, right?
Oh my god, you guys are gonna hate this movie. You're gonna hate this movie.
Just to spite you, I'm gonna love it.
Are you? I don't believe it. I won't believe it till it happens.
I can't wait to watch Ilo and Modus.